Right, and we are live. Well then, welcome to the CHADcast, everyone. I'm Josh Jables, and today I'm joined by Gabriel and James Breeding. We're going to be talking about self-doubt and James's experience. We're going to be interviewing James about his struggles and how he was able to overcome this in his life. Alongside this, we're also going to be sharing some of the group's highlights, so be sure to stick around till the end because we're going to be doing a live Q&A session, and also to reward your long attention spans, we're going to give you some free training as well, so don't miss it. Right, so without any further ado, James, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me today. Well, I grew up in a what's called a dry alcoholic home, which I guess most people probably have never heard of. So we followed all the same patterns as an alcoholic family does, and there's very specific patterns to that: codependency, all that business. And the dependency was my dad's anger. He was also had Asperger's too, so he didn't know how to connect with people. So yeah, our family revolved around my dad's anger. So you can imagine, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And that how that can affect you growing up wise. A lot of doubts, just feeling like you're not good enough, all kinds of things. So that's where I started. Got into IT just because I didn't know what else to do as a career, and did that for several years, and never really. I felt like this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm making money. I have a family. I have a mortgage. I have to do this for now. So did that for a long time, and always wanted to get out, but I could not find the vehicle to do it. I tried crypto mining. I did that for a while. Had a whole garage full of miners, and as the market tanked, that went nowhere, and I had to sell everything off. So that didn't work out. I tried blogs. I always ended up quitting because I just nobody cares. I'm no good at this. Typical negative internal voices. And I also tried chicken farming too. Worked with a chicken farmer in Florida and was kind of learning the trade. Was slaughtering chickens, and I kind of enjoyed it. Not the slaughtering part. I mean, that's just a necessary part of it. But the farming part, I really enjoyed. But that didn't work out. And I tell you what, here's a great example of self-doubt. I remember what I was trying to do was call real estate developers or real estate landowners that had available land where I could lease it and run my chickens on it. And I remember calling them up, and I was so scared to do this, and I don't know why. I don't know, scared of authority figures. I don't know what it was, but I remember calling on the phone and just stuttering. I couldn't get the words out. I was so scared to even ask because I was so scared of that rejection. And yeah, boy, that could still feel that a little bit. That was hard for me. So that didn't work out. So went to a conference in 2020 and met a coach, a self-sabotage coach. I don't know if you ever heard Jason Christoff before. I don't know if you've heard of him, but anyway, I met him, and he talked about the unconscious mind and how that plays a role in your behavior. Like 99% of your behavior comes from your unconscious mind. We're all on autopilot most of the time. So that got me very interested in that. And it's kind of funny because my mom and dad were both involved with NLP. They were master practitioners in neurolinguistic programming too. So it's like, it was kind of natural. It's like, well, why don't I go into this? So yeah, self-sabotage coach, Psyche, learned that hypnosis, another modality called holographic manipulation therapy, which is very interesting. But anyway, I've been building a practice since 2020, and it's still a work in progress. But yeah, there's been a lot of self-doubt along the way. I'm not good enough at this. Am I connecting with people? You know, social media is not fun. We have to do it. It's just part of the job. But in the beginning, it's like all of your job pretty much. So putting yourself out there, getting used to the negative comments, especially because my marketing is for helping guys quit pornography. So you can imagine the kind of comments I get from folks, because that's a security blanket for a lot of folks. So, just having to deal with that. And, I've overcome a lot of self-doubt. Am I perfect every day? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But every time something comes up, I identify it and I work on that. And I've got, my therapeutic tools that I use to do that. But it is a work in progress, but man, I'm a way better than I was before. So that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like that because that's just it, man. We're all a work in progress at the end of the day, and we've got to recognize that we're never going to be perfect. We just got to keep trying to be better each and every day. So yeah, man, it's good, and I like your story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to ask you a few questions now, James, if that's cool.
Sure.
So I want to know what was your biggest struggle in terms of self-doubt?
Just feeling that I was smart enough, good enough, that I could put myself out there, and just building this business has been the struggle of a lifetime. It really has, because I'm just amazed, and it's a really good thing, but it's a hard thing. It's just a tremendous amount of growth that has to take place, especially when you're working with other folks and trying to help them improve. If you're not doing the work, you're not going to help them. You're not going to be able to help them. So every day is a struggle for me in a good way. In a good way. I have to every day. I'm identifying, hey, this little thing out here, you need to work on that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to. It's a whole. I can get real technical with this, but it's a whole unconscious vibration thing. If I'm not at a healthy level, I can't help people get there. So yeah, every day is a struggle for that. And let's see. There's some notes. I want to make sure I cover everything here. I've dealt with a lot of shame. I've dealt with a lot of shame, especially building this business. It's like, and it's that trap of comparison where you're comparing yourself to other people where you think they're at, and most of the time you're wrong. You think they're successful and they're not, especially with social media. Or they're struggling just like you are. There are some cases, obviously, where people are kicking butt out there, but that's been a big struggle for me, is dealing with the shame of I'm not bringing enough income in to support the family at times. So as a man, for me, there's been a lot of shame around that, and that's something I've really had to work on. Just to put that aside and say, no, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody has to go through this process of starting a business, and it just sucks in the beginning. That's all there is to it. It's just hard.
Yeah.
And you get out the other side eventually. Yeah.
Definitely. And the thing is with shame's like on the consciousness scale, it's like the lowest emotion there is. It's probably the worst thing you can ever feel. So if you've got all this shame in your system, it's going to start manifesting itself into the world around you. You're going to start attracting more negativity, and you're going to start putting more out. It's a vicious cycle. So yeah, it's definitely something that we've got to be able to just put aside and let go of it, because otherwise it just gets worse and worse.
Absolutely. And it at times it can make you isolate, which is the opposite of what I need to be doing. I need to be out engaging, talking with people, doing speaking engagements, and I can't do that if I'm isolating in my office, afraid to go out because I think I'm not good enough or whatever. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a trap.
Yeah. So, I want to know, like, what were some of the things you were trying in the beginning, and would you recommend them to people?
Sure. In the beginning, I was just kind of gutting it out, like most of us do. I didn't have any of the therapeutic tools that I've learned and picked up from a lot of training that I've done. But you know, uh, if there's one particular thing you want to do, find other people doing it. Okay, find mentors, and I suck at that. I'm not good at that, but I'm working on it. Um, uh, that's where the shame component can come in at times. But yeah, network with like-minded folks. Find meetups. Uh, people at your church if you do that. Um, yeah, find other folks doing what you want to do. That's huge because they're interested in that, you're interested in that, you've already got something to talk about, and then just go freaking do it. Just go do it. We need to, when we're afraid of something, usually that's a sign you need to go towards it. That's where you need to grow. Obviously you've not a guy with a spiked club that wants to beat you over the head. Don't run towards him. But but if you're afraid of something that's not going to kill you, go do it. Go do it. And advice from a chicken farmer, they're just full of great advice. He said, go take action, even if it's the wrong action, because you're going to learn from it. But don't stay stuck. Just keep moving. Run towards your fear. Run towards your fear. That's what I would do. I mean, it's really that simple. I can work with clients on all kinds of things around doubt, but at the end of the day, and that helps them build up the courage to do it and the belief to do it. But at the end of the day, you still have to take the action. You still have to run towards things that you're not comfortable with.
Definitely, man. And
yeah,
I've said this plenty of times in the group before. You can either be a passenger on the passenger seat, not go anywhere, and just wait for someone else to drive you, which is never going to happen, or you can actually get yourself in the driver's seat, and then you have control over your life. You are choosing the direction that you want to go. That's just the way it is. You can either take action, or you can just play the victim and not get anywhere, and that's obviously not what you want to do. But,
right. Yeah. And you can either make plans for your life and act on them, or somebody else already has plans set up for you. I've got you in this cubicle. You're going to be in this cubicle in 2 years, and then you're going to work here for a couple of years, and then somebody's got another cubicle, or whatever you're doing. Okay, somebody's making plans for you if you don't make your own plans.
Yeah, definitely. It's like say you go to the doctors, but you don't tell him what's wrong with you. He can help you, but if you don't actually tell him what you need, and he's not doing that, there's only so much he can do for you, and so you've got to be prepared to leave the comfort zone and get out there.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so what I want to know now is, if you could go back in time and you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell him?
Yeah. So many things. Many things. I was a absolute numbskull when I was, coming out of school. Just doing stupid stuff. But What would I tell my younger self? I kind of what I've said a little bit already. Run towards what scares you. Get out
Mm,
of your comfort zone. Um, Failure is it's a learning process. It's not an ending. Okay,
mm,
I fail every day because I'm learning something. So once you get to the point where you're not afraid of that anymore,
mm,
then you start accelerating. Then you start really
mm,
going much faster.
mm,
Explore what you're interested in, not what makes the most money. I went into IT because it was going to make me money.
mm,
Um, you know, when I grew up, I didn't get any allowance, and I'm not saying that's bad or anything. It's just
mm,
the way it was. So I wanted money.
mm,
Um, so I just ran towards the first thing that made me money. It was vaguely interesting to me, but mostly the
mm,
paycheck was most interesting to me. And obviously
mm,
uh, that's going to run its course, and you're going to be, you know, have a mortgage, have a family, and it's like, okay, why am I in this career that I hate? So explore what you're interested in and do
mm,
it now. Do it now.
mm,
I'm 54, and
mm,
I'm still learning about myself because I didn't spend that time in my teens, early 20s, whatever, uh, exploring more who I was, what I was interested
mm,
in.
mm,
So yeah, explore what you're interested in. Run towards that. Don't worry about money. Worry about, oh, this is another good one. Worry about learning, not earning. Okay.
mm,
Yeah, you need to make money to pay bills that you have at that time, but
mm,
focus more on learning and not just going for that paycheck, for that big paycheck.
mm,
The big paycheck will come later if you spent the time learning a valuable skill set, and especially
mm,
if you're interested in it, that's a bonus.
mm. Yeah, and you can never know too much. You can never be an absolute expert in something because there's always going to be a chance to learn. And I say that if you feel like you know everything, then you've got a lot more to learn. And
Yeah.
it's not a good mindset to be in. I think as men, we always need to have that level of humility so we can grow and learn new things.
Yep.
Um, but what I want to ask you is, would you have done anything differently if you could go back? I know you said you give him some advice, but would you do anything differently if you could?
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And for me, this is for me. I would have pursued God and the Holy Spirit more deeply
mm,
because that's my guiding principle now. That's my guiding light. Okay,
mm,
and that's helped me stay grounded. Okay,
mm,
um, like I've talked about before, I wouldn't have gone into IT, or because it was all about the money. It was just
mm,
somewhat interesting to me, and I discovered real quick it's like, I don't want to do this.
mm,
But I spent a good 30 years in it because I couldn't find I could not find a way out of it.
mm,
Take way more chances. Take way more chances. Um, it's easier. It's easier to make mistakes and fail when the cost is low.
mm,
When you're older and like I keep saying, mortgage, family, all that. Um, it's harder to take financial risks when you're older.
mm,
When you're younger, you know, it's not that big a deal. You lose a few thousand
mm,
bucks here or there, it's not going to kill you.
mm,
Um, that and that's and by taking those chances and taking those risks, getting out of your comfort zone, running towards that fear, that's how you find out who you are. That's how
mm,
you find out who you really are. Um,
mm,
yeah, that's just take more chances, explore more things, get out of that comfort zone.
mm.
100%.
Yeah, and I think there's one of the worst things you could get stuck in is the comfort zone because that's where you stop growing. Because if you're not constantly putting yourself out there, you're just going to constantly be stuck. If it's like, imagine it like a conveyor belt. You're in this factory, and each stage is like assembling a new part for the product. But if it gets stuck here, if it's not moving, it's not gonna you're not gonna add the new parts, and it's not gonna be a finished product. It's just gonna stay there, and nobody wins when you're doing that. So you've always got to be leaving the comfort zone.
Yeah, and
And
if you're not leaving that comfort zone, harsh, but you're dying. You're dying.
mm,
You're dying.
mm,
That doesn't mean you can't come back to life. It's not a
mm,
You're not going down the tubes right at that
mm,
moment. I'm just saying you're atrophying. You're
mm,
dying. You're not growing. And man, we got one shot at this. We got one shot at this life.
mm,
Take those risks. We're all going to die anyway. So
mm,
take those risks. Take them.
mm.
Take them.
Definitely.
You'll be so glad you did, because there's nothing worse than regret later on in life.
Mm,
It's just
mm,
it's poison. It's poison. You
mm,
don't want to regret that. You regret, like they say, you regret the things you didn't do versus the things you did
mm,
more. So
mm, mm. Definitely. And
yeah,
even the most successful people you'll ever meet, even these guys can get stuck in the comfort zone because they think, oh, I've reached this level of success now. I don't need to try anymore. And then before you know it, you start feeling really bad about yourself because you've no sense of achievement. It's a really vicious cycle to get stuck in. So it's important that you push through these barriers and get to the next level constantly, um, or else you're never going to grow.
100%.
But
Yep.
what I want to know is, what things did you finally do, or what was it that made you realize that in fact, no, I've phrased that totally wrong. What things did you do in the end to get the results you were looking for?
Sure. I just decided to lose my fear of failing.
Mm,
I ran towards it instead of running away from it.
mm,
Um, and like I said, and that's failing. It's got such a negative connotation. It's it's just growing. It's just learning. That's all it is.
mm,
I put out my social media just about every day, and you know I have no idea how it's going to go over every single time I put it out.
mm,
So and sometimes it falls flat, and other times it doesn't. And I learn from both instances of that.
mm,
I just remind myself all the time that I'm only going to fail if I quit. And I've quit a lot
mm,
of things,
mm,
and I will not quit. I won't
mm,
quit because this is what I want. This is what
mm,
I want more than anything.
mm,
Um, I can't fail if I just keep going. If I
mm,
just keep going, I can't fail.
mm,
Um, do I need to tweak things along? Absolutely. That's a daily process, but I won't quit.
mm,
My end result may look totally different than what I started with, and it probably will. But that's okay. I had to learn
mm,
along the way to get there.
mm,
Um, yeah, and for me, I just reached a pain threshold where the pain of being in a cubicle all my life doing stuff I hate doing was much
mm,
worse than the pain of growing a business, of
mm,
public speaking or making a fool of myself on social media.
mm,
The
mm,
pain of being in that cubicle was much worse. And
mm,
I gave up a lot of income, which I, in the long run, I'll make up, obviously, and do much better. But I gave up a lot of income to leave that comfort zone.
mm,
Um, I was making 160,000 um, as a IT guy, good salary, and I make a lot less now, but I'm way happier.
mm,
Way happier. Can't go
mm,
out to eat as much as I used to, or buy that fancy car, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care. Being in that cubicle was just soul sucking. So
mm,
that's for me. It works for others.
mm. Yeah, man, definitely. There's nothing worse than doing something in life that drains your energy where you're not happy. And if it's the place where you work, that's even worse because you've got to spend pretty much every day of your life in there. So, you know, you're much better off making less money and being happier because that's what's going to fill you with energy. That's what's going to give you the drive to do what you need to do. And it's going to feel fulfilling when doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have nothing wrong with nothing, no problem with money. I want to make a lot more than I made as an IT guy, but I'm willing to suck it up for a while to get there. So,
yeah, absolutely, man.
yeah.
So, guys, anyone who's watching right now, if there is anyone watching, we've probably got like 0 viewers, but you know, guys, let us know what your thoughts are. Do you feel like James's story is relating to you at all? And if it does, drop us a nice big Chad in the comments right now. So yeah. So guys, what are your thoughts on self-doubt? Let's start with Gabe because he's not got a chance to say anything right now. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Okay, well, I wrote down a couple questions that we can ask James here for our Q&A. But in terms of self-doubt, I guess I would ask James now before the Q&A, how would you say you can become a more secure person as a whole, right? Because that's what self-doubt is about, right? Those insecurities, whether they carry over from your childhood or trauma or whatever, how would you move forward recognizing that you're not as secure as you should be?
Sure. I would just do a good self-assessment every time you have doubt. You think about something you want to do. You know, think about the things you want to do with your life. You want to go talk to that girl, or you want to get that job, or whatever. Think about those things and write down. And us men are, most of us, it seems like, are trained not to suppress our emotions because it's not masculine, it's not manly to have these emotions and express these emotions, because then we're vulnerable and then we're weak. So, which is a big lie. That's a big lie. That's what that is, man. We all have emotions and we got to get them out. Otherwise, we express them as addictions or violence or other unproductive negative things. So when you want to do something, write down how you feel. And it's when you're not good at that, which a lot of us are not, you need to spend some time to analyze that, beyond the big emotions of happy, sad, anger. Why are you angry? Why are you sad? Why are you depressed? Whatever it is, spend some time writing that down and journaling. Journaling's awesome. What are those feelings tied to that doubt? And then use some exercises like we'll send out here after the podcast. But also, if you need help, go get help. There's nothing wrong with it. I've worked with a zillion other hypnotherapists on me because I need the work. Do not be afraid to ask for help. That's how, if you look on the internet, there's a coach for everything now, right? If you want to learn how to fish, you want to learn how to, be a hypnotherapist, whatever. Okay. There's a coach out there because there's a need for it. There's a need for it. A lot of this was in the times past. A lot of this was taught by elders, and now that's not a big thing in our society anymore. So we need coaches. We need help, and so don't waste time. If you need help, go get a coach. Go get some kind of help. But identify your feelings. That's huge. That's huge. That will help you, and you'll notice a pattern when you start thinking about things you want to do, and then those same feelings will keep coming up. Those same doubts will keep coming up. Write them down. Journal like crazy to help you understand those feelings. You know, it's one thing to work on those feelings, but it's a great thing to understand what you need to work on first. So,
Sure. So say, there's a situation where I've already reflected and I'm like, okay, I'm scared. That's the emotion I'm feeling, right?
mhm,
I journal it. I feel scared. I want to go talk to this girl or I want to go pursue this dream, much as your own story. And then I go to James because I saw him on a podcast and I come to you and say, hey, I'm scared. I have this self-doubt. I've written it down. How would you kind of help somebody overcome that fear on your end after they've identified it on their end?
sure. Well, I've got a couple of I won't get too technical here, but I've got a couple of different modalities that I use, and they both deal with the unconscious mind. Okay, and that's where all of our emotions are stored. Okay, and 99% of our behavior uh, that that you see on a daily basis from yourself comes from your unconscious mind, and most of that learning takes place between 0 to 6 years old. Okay, 50% of everything you ever know comes between 0 to 6 years old. Okay, that's how you learn how to uh, uh, deal with people from watching your parents or whoever raised you. Um, so, like I said, without getting too technical, we go after the feelings directly. There's You can feel them in your body. With some modalities, I work with that. We deal with the feeling in the body, okay, because that's tied to an emotion in the unconscious mind. We store our trauma, and when I say trauma, we tend to think of pretty violent stuff or sexual stuff or whatever. And yes, of course, that's awful trauma. But there's things like getting left at the park by your folks. It was an innocent thing; it just happened. There was a mix-up or something, and you think you're all alone in the world and nobody loves you. In your unconscious mind, when you experience even a small little trauma like that, your unconscious mind stores it, and that's your filter that you experience life through from then on until you unlearn that, until we work on that, until we clear that filter away. Your life is being filtered through all the trauma, the layers of trauma that you've experienced throughout your life. So it's just a matter of clearing that trauma one layer at a time, like peeling an onion. Okay. And that's how we get to the unconscious emotions that are holding back what we want to do in life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that checks out. I appreciate it.
We go directly after the emotions that are making you uncomfortable, and we work on them directly. It's different than talk therapy, and talk therapy is fantastic. It has its place, but if you want things resolved quickly, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah, man, and I've struggled with a lot of self-doubt myself, and especially recently as well. You feel like you're not going to make it. You feel like you're not good enough, and quite a lot of the time as well. And I've realized this as well. You're not even aware of it sometimes. Like you
Yes.
might tell yourself, "Oh, I'm capable," but then when it actually comes to it, you start projecting, or you don't follow through in what you're setting out to do, and it really can be demoralizing. So it's about stepping into that, or should I say, stepping outside of that comfort zone and proving to yourself that just proving to yourself that it's possible. And if you can do that, then that's half the battle.
Yeah. If I could add one more thing there, you hit on something there. A lot of these doubts, basically make your life small. They make your life way smaller than it should be. Because you have your five senses are antennas to the world. Okay. And everything comes in through there and then gets filtered through our layers of trauma. Okay. And because that happens under our level of awareness, we're not conscious of it. Okay. It basically, there's opportunities all around us all the time. Okay. There's opportunities at work. There's opportunity in business. There's a girl that wants to talk to us, whatever. Okay. Those opportunities are all around us. But if we have these layers of trauma that are basically keeping us from living that great life, they're tuning out those opportunities. Okay, you could be picking all this stuff up. Okay, but these opportunities come in by, and our unconscious mind picks up millions of bits of information all around us all the time. So it filters through these layers of trauma, and then it gets tuned out. It's like, this girl wants to talk to us. Nope, she doesn't. I'm not good enough. I mean, it happens like that. You don't even realize it's happening. That's what sucks. And that's why it's important to identify these feelings. It's like, that's why, maybe you hear like 2 weeks later, oh, she likes you, she wanted to talk to you, but your internal voice was going, no, I'm not good enough. So by working on this trauma, when you release it, you start, all these opportunities start opening up all over the place, and they were there the whole time. You just didn't realize it. That's frustrating. But you can fix that. Yeah.
It's crazy as well, because like, once you become aware of these feelings that you have inside, it'll just literally snap in your mind, like, hang on a minute, this whole time everything was fine, but I made it out to be something that it's not.
Yes.
And in that sense, we're his own worst enemy. And
you're
got to stop that.
Yeah, your unconscious mind is your worst enemy at times, and it goes back to when we were walking around with loincloths and spears. Our brain hasn't changed much from that time. So when our unconscious mind sees things as painful, as and our physical pain and emotional pain travel the same neural pathways in the brain. Okay, so to your brain, it's the same thing. Okay, whether you're stepping on a nail or whether you want to talk to a girl and you're uncomfortable with it. Okay, it's the same thing to your brain. Okay, so our unconscious mind just naturally brings that pain up, and you're like immediately unconsciously revulsing from doing the things you want to do. So that's why it's so important to work on those layers of trauma. So.
So I've got a question for Gabe right now, and I'd say, can you think of a time where you really struggled with self-doubt and you've overcome it?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Every day. I mean, every day there's self-doubt in some aspect, right? Whether that be I'm about to go in a job interview for a promotion or something like that, right? Or I'm applying for a new job, or I'm talking to this girl, or, whatever the case may be. I would say every single day of my week, I have something difficult that I have to do that I don't want to do, right? So like today I have the managers meeting, right? So I sit there with all the other managers, and then one by one they talk about what their teams are up to and everything. I hate that meeting, right? Because it comes to me and then I have to publicly speak in front of everybody. And even though I've done it every week, and I know all of them personally, it's just something that you feel subconscious about and self-doubt about. So yeah, there's definitely ways to overcome it every day, which, as James said, you just have to walk towards what you're afraid of, right? You can't call out sick for the managers meeting. You have to just walk into it and make it happen.
I like that. Yeah, definitely. We've got to fight against these fears and remind ourselves that we are good enough, or we are capable, because more times than not we actually are. So it's just about letting go of those fears. And I think we got to get things moving now, guys. So why don't we get onto the Q&A session? So anyone in the audience who's watching right now, let's just look at the comments. Simon, hello, Simon. Are you still watching? I think that literally this is the only person here right now. Do you have any questions for James? If you do, drop them in the chat, and we'll answer him.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that just another thing you were talking about there, Josh. We live in a manufactured reality, and what I mean by that is that the reality is actually different, but our layers of trauma and experiences create our own little manufactured reality, which often is not actual reality. Yeah, you are good enough. There's no reason why you can't do this. You are smart enough. You can talk to that girl. You can get to that job, whatever. You can do it. But your reality that's been manufactured from your experiences says you can't. And it's a lie. It's a big lie.
Definitely, man. So Simon's just dropped a comment. He says, "Why do men get addicted to porn?"
In a nutshell, it's like for a lot of guys, it's a security blanket. Okay, we have emotions that we don't understand and we're uncomfortable with, and it could be a variety of things. It could be major trauma, could be minor trauma, could be a lot of things. But porn has come along, and it's this drug I think it's a drug that's available all the time. You can consume it anywhere, and I mean anywhere. And it's always available. It's free. And, just imagine if, other types if alcohol was free or heroin was free or whatever, you might be doing the same thing that porn does. And you can hide it too. It's real easy to hide porn. But unconsciously, everybody around you is feeling it. They're feeling that energy. So basically porn is the reason why guys, it's such a common problem is that it's, especially now because it's available to everyone, and kids are on average looking at it about 11 to 13 years old, somewhere around there. Okay. They stumble upon it. And then, if there's something going on in their life, which in the preteen years and the teen years, there's a lot going on in your life. Talk about being unsure of yourself and so forth. And boom, you got this a porn that's available to you, and you feel like you can control your emotions with it, and you feel like you get that dopamine hit. It's short, but it's intense, and then you're like, I feel good, and then 10 minutes later you're feeling what you were feeling before that. So obviously it's a bottomless pit, and it never solves the problem, obviously. So, but you keep going back to it depending on what's going on in your life to try to calm your emotions, when you just need to understand what those emotions are and deal with them. And porn's it's available, and it's easy. So hopefully that answered his question.
Yeah. It's such a huge coping mechanism, and I think a lot of us cling to this momentary happiness, this dopamine shot just to get us through the day or get us through these feelings.
Super short.
Yeah. So a question from Fred is, going from your dream career and life to a more modest life, like you said, what was the stages of transition you went through, and how did you get through each one?
Well, I just jumped off the cliff, pretty much. I was laid
Hopefully
off.
not literally.
Well, emotionally, I guess. I was laid off from my job. So, and I've been building this for a while. It's like, let's go. Let's just pedal to the metal now. Let's go. And, yes, I have some savings. I have been planning for this for a while, but it's not forever. Obviously, my runway is not forever. So I have to make this work, and there is no plan B for me. There is no plan B. So there really weren't a lot of stages. I just say I saved my money for a while, and always designed my life. I have extra food. I've designed my life to be ready for this circumstance. So when it did come, it's like, well, now's the time. Now's the time. I've had enough of this IT stuff. I'm done with it. I don't care how much I was earning. But I need to run with what I want to do. I'm tired of doing what I don't want to do every day. So
definitely, man. And another question from Simon: how to tell if you're just into it or you're actually addicted?
Well, and the words you use, Josh, if it becomes an emotional coping mechanism for you, then it's going to be a problem for you. Everybody can do whatever they want, but is this adding to your life or is it taking away from it? Are you, when you get stressed at work, or your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, yells at you and you instantly start thinking about porn, there's feelings there that you need to deal with, and not be using porn to satisfy them. So yeah, are you using it to escape from feelings? Then there's some things you need to deal with.
Yeah, definitely, man. As soon as it becomes this option that you turn to, that's when you know that you're in a bit of a dangerous position there.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone who's struggling with that right now, I'd highly recommend you distance yourself from it.
Yep.
So yeah, guys, anyone got any more questions? Just drop them in the chat.
I've got 2 questions, Josh.
Yeah, sure.
So James, I would first ask, how does hypnosis carry over to spirituality, right? You talked about getting involved with your church or your elders or your pastor or whatever. How would you say that those 2 spheres coexist with one another?
Yeah, well, the unconscious mind, it's a direct correlation because the unconscious mind is tied into God. I mean, we have, if you've heard of the what is it, the 100th monkey principle, where have you heard of that? That's
I'm not familiar with it.
the monkeys eating the sweet potatoes. Okay, so they were separated. There was these 2 islands, and they were separated by quite a distance. So there was monkeys on both islands, and the monkeys they learned how to. And I'm going to paraphrase the story, but they learned how to wash these sweet potatoes so they could eat them, to wash the dirt off, and they've on this one island, and then on another island, which was miles away, it might have been 100 miles away, I'm not sure. There was monkeys about the same time learning to do the same thing. So we're all tied into this consciousness, and it's easy to use woo-woo terms, and people just tune out. But our unconscious minds. The power of the unconscious mind is just unbelievable. It's like a bicycle compared to the Milky Way. I mean, our conscious mind being the bicycle, because their conscious mind is what we're busy thinking about useless thoughts all day. Most of them are useless. The unconscious mind is incredibly powerful. It's where everything that's ever happened to us is stored. So, and that's tied into God, or if you want to call it source, if you want to call it superconscious, whatever you want to call it, you're directly tied to God, and we're all directly tied to God, and we're all directly tied together. That's how we can read each other's thoughts sometimes, finish each other's people's sentences. There's a connection there. And the more you explore that, the more amazing your life can be. So hypnosis works directly on that unconscious mind. And then, when you untie those unconscious knots, the more the more opportunity is, like we were talking about, the more opportunity is revealed to you. And you can tie more into God, and just make your life better.
Sure. Okay. And then my second question, obviously my generation, we like to sum it up in top three, right? So what would you say the top three ways are to overcome self-doubt? And you've already touched on a couple of them, but what would you summarize as your top three?
Sure. Identify your feelings. Journal. Recognize what you're scared of, and what are the emotions behind that. And then number two, this is a pretty simple process. Okay, what am I afraid of? Okay, work on it. If that's therapy, great. If that's meeting people around you doing what you want to do, that have the confidence that you don't, learn from them how to have that confidence. And if you hang around, you always want to hang around people that are better than you at things you want to do. Okay. So you'll eventually get on their level if you hang out with them long enough, because you'll feel odd not having that confidence that they have. And then just the last one, just run towards it. Okay, I'm afraid of that. Okay, let's go. We can spend years being afraid of it, or we can spend a couple hours being afraid of it, and then boom, we're over it. We're done. Whether that's through therapy or just doing it. Go give that speech you're afraid to give. Just go do it. Yes, you'll make mistakes. It won't be perfect, but you'll get better.
I like it, man. So we're going to have to move things along now because we're running short on time. But I'm going to hand it over to Gabe now. So we're going to go over the weekly group highlights. So, Gabe, why don't you take this one away?
Sure. So we only really selected one this week. Josh, can you share your screen to that link I sent you?
Yes, just 1 second.
Obviously, there's a lot of great things that go on in our group. We have great people, great members, great coaches, even. If you guys don't know Simon Goldwhite, he's dropped a couple comments in the chat. If you are watching this after the fact, definitely reach out to Simon, reach out to James, reach out to Josh or myself. We're always happy to try to help. But Simon has been an invaluable resource to both Josh and I. So I definitely plug him and his services. Josh, can you tell me the name of that guy? It's kind of hard to see your screen there.
So his name is Seth Gowley. I'll just scroll down a little bit, and this is his transformation picture.
Right. So we have a weight transformation here, right? But I think that there's more that went into this, which promotes our ideologies and what we want in this group. This right here is self-improvement, not necessarily just in the physical sense, but reading through his biography on it, he went sober. He overcame all kinds of different obstacles. He, lost weight, and I can guarantee you a lot of this guy's self-doubt went away throughout this transition, right? And that's what we're looking for in this group. We're looking for sobriety. We're looking for overcoming self-doubt, and we're looking for improving ourselves as a whole. And I think that this guy captured it well, and that's just what I wanted to draw attention to this week and give this guy his applause for improving himself and then sharing with us, because that can also be scary to do, right? It's easy to show the results of what you have, but to be, as James said earlier today, kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not insecure, but like allowing yourself to receive judgment, being vulnerable. That's what he said. And that vulnerability, when you're able to tap into that, you have a lot better chance of getting results and just being honest about it. So if that's reaching out to a coach, we have Jason Gower. He's our fitness coach for the group. It's as easy as being vulnerable and, going to Jason, for instance, and sending him a picture. Hey, man, like I'm not happy with where I'm at. This is causing self-doubt. My mental health is not doing well based on how I feel, how I look. I can't sleep, this and that. And that vulnerability will allow you the modem to get the results that you're looking for. So just wanted to give a shout out to this guy's staff. And yeah, that's what I picked this week, Josh.
I like it. Yeah, so Seth, if you're watching, man, I'm very proud of you. You're doing a great job, and so many people have seen your post, and just want to say you're an inspiration, bro. So keep at it. I don't think we selected anything negative that we wanted to cover, but I feel it's important to address it right now because we want to keep this group as positive a space as it can be.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm seeing right now, although it's not as bad recently, when a member posts something in the group, they're asking a question or they're opening up, they're being vulnerable, like we've discussed previously. A lot of people come onto these posts and they'll laugh react it, and that's not okay. We are a group that's about providing a safe space for men because men don't have that. So when you come here and you open up to people, you want people's advice, or you want to feel, you want people to comfort you or whatever it is, then you deserve to be respected, not laughed at. Because when you laugh at someone who's opening up, that only brings their guard much higher. And because their guard's so high up, they're not going to do anything now. They're not going to, want to improve. They're not going to want to do better because they've been shamed into doing so. So if we do see any people that are laugh reacting people's posts where they're sharing that vulnerable side, even if it's just asking a question or whatever, like, you're going to get suspended from the group because we do not tolerate that in any way, shape or form. And for the people who are very supportive, leave a lot of constructive feedback or whatever it is, or just let them know that you're there for them. Like, I want to commend you guys for that because it's only a small minority of people that are doing this toxic behavior. So yeah, I just wanted to address that right now.
And then also, Josh, if I could touch on real quick, part of being vulnerable and this being a space, like Josh said, where we can grow and build off of each other. We had a member a little while ago screenshot somebody's post, and he went on this guy's Facebook, tracked down his girlfriend or his wife or whatever, sent him those screenshots, and then said, just so you know, lady, I totally agree with you. Your boyfriend's wrong in this matter. That's completely unacceptable. If we see that, you're banned immediately from the group. And have some dignity. That's super distasteful. And I feel bad for you, whoever you are, because that's your own insecurity and your own self-doubt that you're projecting, and then trying to mess with somebody else's personal life when they're trying to be vulnerable and get help is extremely unacceptable. So that was very distasteful on their end. But we definitely do not want to see that ever again. And if it happens, it happens. But we will find you and we will ban you. So
we'll get Liam Neeson on the case. We will find you.
Absolutely.
We will kill you. Or in our case, Jason. He'll just ban you. But yeah, there is one thing I do want to highlight right now. And if you're not aware, we have our Men's Self-Improvement Academy, which is a private paid community, which we have right now. And I just want to commend one of our members. I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is. And I just want to commend his bravery because he opened up about something very traumatic in his life, and it's been a very hard time for him. But yeah, I want to commend him for that because, it feels like a weight's been lifted, and he's now going to go on to be able to heal and really make the progress that he's looking to make. So, anonymous member who I'm mentioning, I'm very proud of you, bro. So, keep at it. And so talking about the Men's Self-Improvement Academy, if you're struggling with self-doubt, then I just want to say that you should definitely give our men's calls a try. you get to be part of a brotherhood. You get to be around serious guys who are going to be there for you. They've got your back. It's a safe space where you can be vulnerable and get clarity on your goals. So if you're interested in joining, please either reach out to myself or Simon, and we will get you signed up. So yeah, as I mentioned, we are going to give out some free training to anyone who stuck around till the end. So I want to reward your long attention spans. Well done, guys. So if you want to get your hands on some free training, I'm going to give you some self-doubt related training. So if you're interested, just say something like free training in the comments, and we'll get it sent over to you. So yeah. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. So if there's anything you want to see in next week's episode, be sure to let us know down below. And I want to give a big thank you to James for joining us today. And do you have any last comments before we wrap things up?
Just thank you very much, and I appreciate this community very much. It's hard to find Facebook groups. I mean, they can be kind of faceless, where that are run well, and you guys are doing a great job, and where people are respected. So I really appreciate that. We need, like you said, men need safe spaces.
Absolutely. You know, and we do what we can to make it the best quality group possible. And, you know, if there's anyone watching right now and you've got any feedback for the group, by all means, leave a comment and we'll take it on board. Guys, if you would like to check out James's social media profiles, there should be a link in our video description. So yeah, by all means, give him a follow, check him out, and yeah. So guys, I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's been a really great session. And yeah, that was the first episode of the CHADcast.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Right, guys. See you later.